So now let's move to the second paper. So which is, I think I have discussed with you how to write critical analysis. So if you watch that video, you will get a clear understanding about how to write a critical analysis. So I have given some tips and all. So I invite you to watch that video again, and that will be helpful for you to answer for this second paper. Anyway, from this video, so I will give you some devices and tips that how to write for the second paper. So now you know second paper consists of essay type of questions. There you have to write the comments or the critical analysis selecting from. So the questions are given from each poetry, prose, drama and the novel. So you have to select one question from each and you have to answer 4 questions. So you have to write 4 critical analysis essays by taking from each. So you have to answer 4 answers, 4 essays or 4 comments you have to write. So now in this I told you that you are given 3 hours for the paper, and here you have to remaining 2 hours to answer this question. Therefore, time management is very important because this is an essay type of question. So you don't know that you are writing and you don't know the time you will be spending and you are not aware. Sometimes you will be unable to write the last question as you are spending more time on the other first questions given. Therefore, try to have a time duration of at least 30 minutes for each question to answer. Then you can manage your time. So in answering the second paper. Now here when writing the critical analysis, so I have told you, discussed this before with you this, but I will remind you again that you have to have the introduction, then the paragraphs and the conclusion. So in there the introduction, so you have to have a very good introduction, kind of an attractive one. Therefore the examiner will be happy to see your answer and it will be examiner will be attracted to your answer. Therefore you should have, in order to get high marks, so you should have a clear introduction to the given statement, and then you should have your paragraph. So don't limit your paragraphs into 3 or 2. I feel it's better if you can give 4 points within 4 paragraphs, then your content will be rich. So by giving your points to the given statement, you should have the 4 paragraphs, the points and also the evidences. I mean the examples, the quotation should be included within those paragraphs. And then the conclusion should be there. So in order to have a better conclusion, so your point should be clear and applicable to the given statement. So first, it's better to have a good organization. So before you enter to writing the given questions, first of all just make a rough sketch of your organization, what you are trying to write in these each paragraph, how the introduction should be, what should I include in first paragraph, second paragraph, third paragraph, or if you are writing a 4th paragraph, what should I include in the 4th paragraph, and also the examples and then the conclusion. So just have a rough sketch of the organization and then move to write. So then it will be easy for you to continue writing. Right. So now according to the marking scheme, so paper 2 attempts to test the following skills. So they are the identification, that means your knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis and evaluation. And when considering about these marks given for these your answers, there you will be given marks for content, organizing and language. For content you will be given 7 marks, and for organizing 4 marks, and language 4 marks, and altogether you will get 15 marks. So content you will be given 7 marks, means you have to be rich with your content, that means your points and your examples. So now let's move to content, what should be included in the content. So there are descriptions, facts from the text, prioritizing facts, presenting content in favor of question, critical evaluation of facts, personal views, response stimulated by content and students' creativity. So those are focused in giving marks in content. And then when we move to organizing, there should be answer is relevant. That means that whether it addresses the question. Answer has cohesion, that means the close connection between the various parts of the answer. Support with the relevant codes at the appropriate points. So that means that you have to provide evidence from the text, examples or quotations. And then well ordered. So that means you have to divide into paragraphs with an appropriate introduction and conclusion, as I mentioned before. And also you have to develop an argument. There is a thrust to bring out one's point of view. So then after when you write organizing, you have to develop the argument that you are writing. And then when moving to the language, where you get 4 marks for that. So there are correct structure and grammar. You should have a correct structure and grammar, and you should have rich vocabulary, so the expression and all. So it's very important. You have to use many new words. And then the communicative power in the language. So the language style is considered while you are writing your critical analysis essay. Right. So those are the things that will be considered in writing critical analysis essays under content, organizing and language. Right. Okay. Then let's move to the paper 2 in your which was in the last paper. Question. So first of all, let's go to the instructions before we move to the paper. So the instructions are given as answer for questions, selecting one each from the 4 sections: poetry, prose, drama and fiction. And then let's move to the question given. Yes, so the question from the poetry, I will select the question To the Nile. Here write an appreciation of To the Nile, highlighting how it appeals to readers' emotions. So very easy question. So if you have to write an appreciation, which is very easy with this To the Nile, a poem related to nature. So the first poem in your anthology. So I think if you select this question, it will be very easy to answer. Okay. According to the marking scheme, we'll see what you should include in it. A brief introduction of the poem and to the question. Then you have to include 2 perspectives of the river may be presented. Deification, natural and pragmatic. And then you have to appreciate the poem. Right. So, and here they will be examined that the identification, the instances from the poem where readers' sense and are stimulated, and how the literary devices evoke readers' insight. So example, moon, mountain stimulate sight. We call the fruitful, which is taste the pleasant sunrise. Then in the sestet you can find evokes sensuous imagery like green rushes like our rivers. Taste of pleasant sunrise, the river as a source of nourishment, the river as a leader, chief of pyramid. So you can give those explanations. And also you can include the river is personified and personified, and as it is associated with the legendary mountain or mountain range in East Africa. It is considered great and iconic with reference to the chief of Egyptian civilization. And then also you can include myths related to the river Nile, how people were led by these deifications in the history. And also you can include rational thinking of the reader is inspired, stimulated. So questions like, art thou so fruitful? The use of rhetorical questions makes the reader close to the picture described. So likewise, and also you can include how the fruitfulness of the river is further explored and questioned. So if the river nourished the nations since the time immemorial, or if the people exhausted are charmed in a deceptive manner to adore and honor the river. Natural beauty and the practical use of the river are highlighted. So thou dost bedow, and then also you have, after including all these things, you can write the conclusion. So appreciation of Nile is very easy because you can include the service done by the river, about the beauty and how it is being helpful for this what nation. So all these you can include, and then the sested part, how the river acts like. So all these things you can include and write a good appreciation of the river to the Nile and completing this comment. So that's about the poem. And let's move to the prose. So next questions coming from the prose. So there are questions are given for you in the poetry from each themes: novel, life, society, and conflict and humor. So you can select any and write answers. So select the most familiar one. So if you feel this poem is familiar for me, so select that question and that poem to answer. Sometimes and if you are familiar with the quotations, the examples, so you include, so select that question other than going to difficult questions in the poem. Right, so then let's select the question. The extract from wave represents tension experienced by human beings in disaster. Discuss. So according to the marking scheme, I'll let you know what you should include. Answers should address the following. So a brief introduction to the extract and to the question. How tension is created should be identified and evaluated by referring to the instances form of extract that describes panicked mental condition and unplanned actions without any rationality. Then examples: tension increases with the advance in violent waves, sudden reaction of the narrator, her family towards the oncoming wave, fleeing without knocking the parents' door, then flinging children to the jeep in haste of escaping, Beulah's attempt to hoist herself into jeep, the driver's haste to escape, leave Beulah behind, Anton jumping back to join Beulah, the narrator's panic and guilt when she realizes that she had left her parent. Steve keeps banging his feet on the floor of the feet, and then when the jeep is in water, they lift their children up. No one uttered a word when the jeep starts floating. Steve's facial expression when he sees the overcoming wave. After jeep topples, the narrator's fear, tension and disorientations are shown when she regains her consciousness. And then you can go for the conclusion. So those things you have to include in your question. So first of all, you have to organize well. So these things you have to include by organizing your answer well. Right. So that's from the prose, and let's move to the drama, Toilet of Crane. Explore the effectiveness of techniques used in the Toilet of Crane depict human weaknesses. So in this, I can remember last time, so from the both dramas you were asked about the techniques. So yeah, it's important for you to have an idea about the techniques that are seen in the drama. So you have no choices if they ask about the techniques, because then you should have a thorough understanding about the techniques. So definitely you have to write what are the techniques in it. Right. So according to the marking scheme, so they have included these. Students should identify a few techniques and explore their usefulness to make the play effective with reference to the instances from the play. Only a few examples are given. So here only a few examples are given, so you can write more than this. So you can write a folktale with features of some folktale features. So you can write in the drama and the symbolism. And for the symbolism, you can write Sue as symbolizing nature, Yo-Yo at the beginning of the drama symbolizes innocence, and towards the middle a gullible character. And children, innocence, then Suodo and Unso as corruption, then Senbori, true love and sacrifice, but in the materialistic world it turns out into money's matter. So accordingly, likewise, you can include the techniques. So flashback is there, you can include the initial imageries, likewise the climax, so likewise the techniques that you find in the drama, so you can include. So that's all about it. And then the fiction, when we move to the fiction, so once again I'll move to the Begin Tony Home, which I am familiar with. So the question is in the Begin Tony Home was, the narrator's cherished and painful childhood memories are vividly portrayed in Begin Tony Home. Is this an adequate analysis of the novella discussed? Right. Now when you consider about the questions that are coming for the novel, so what you have to do is, this will be easy for you. First of all, understand the themes, characters and common features that are described in the novel. So if you take Begin Tony Home, it talks mostly about this human relationship within the animals. So it mostly talks about this dog. Therefore, the questions are mostly based on these emotions, feelings of the towards the animals, and the relationship between the animals and the human. So throughout the years, the questions are based on this. Therefore, if you are studying Prince and the Pauper or the Vendor of Sweets, so just go for the questions that has questions in the previous years, and just pay the attention on so what are the questions that they were asking so far. Then get a clear understanding on it, and just have a idea about the questions that they are asking, and then just get prepared for it. And also pay attention to the places where they were not mentioned in the questions in previous years. Then it will be easy for you to have an idea in writing the answer for the novel. Right. So the question based on in the novel Begin Tony Home is about cherished and painful childhood memories. So yeah, it also has these childhood memories. So it's very easy when you go deep into this drama. All the things are based on the childhood memories of this speaker. So here, according to the marking scheme, students should identify that the story is a recollection of childhood memories. They should refer to a few instances of painful memories in relation to his family, parents, sister, friends, neighbors and his pet dog Tony. The family fell on hard times. They had to move into a smaller home in different village. The painful incident with the dog, partying Tony in the bus, how he keeps silent when the dog is chased away by the conductor. The narrator walks all the way to a Godabath in search of Tony. Tony came out from nowhere, charging and barking. So losing the ration book and ecstasy he had when he found it. So all these memories are discussed in the novel. Then you should analyze all these memories, and you can select few and write, or yeah, you can select few and write, because there are so many memories. So special incidents, so most remarkable incidents you can take and write for this question. So likewise, those questions will be asked from you. So what you have to know is, so you have to have a deep analysis about the novel, because novel means it's not an easy one, because it has a wide range of things, of characters, themes and incidents. So you should have a broad description about the novel. So if you pay attention on each, and if you read your novel 2-3 times, I think should read more than 2-3 times, so with an understanding. So pay attention on the incidents, themes, characters, so it will be easy for you to answer not only the first paper but also the second paper in answering comments. So in the second paper you should pay attention in most important thing is managing your time. So you have only 2 hours, therefore you have to manage your time in writing 4 answers. So at least taking 30 minutes for each to write comments. And also you have to pay attention on in organizing the answer. Then you should have your clear introduction, then you have to have your clear paragraphs and the conclusion. So especially writing this paragraph, you should give evidence, the examples which you will be marked. So those things you have to pay attention, and you should have a clear writing, you should have a good rich vocabulary, so you should have clear sentences, sentence pattern, and then you should have writing with rich creativity. So if you include all these things, definitely you will have a better writing and you will go to a good pass. So therefore, when you get the paper, don't be afraid. So just relax yourself and go through the questions well, go through the instructions well, and just read carefully the questions, and first understand the question and then organize the question and start writing. So children, that's all about the paper. So the first paper and the second paper, and that's how you have to answer for the questions. So I discussed through this video by taking the marking scheme of the last year paper. So children, pay attention on all these things which I have discussed so far, and then it will be easy for you to go through the exam and sit for the exam successfully. So I wish you all the best for your exam.